Hi and welcome to the video. I'm Dame and this is Dame Over, and in this, the last installment of the most used builds, we're taking a look at the Scout class. Now, if you guys have enjoyed this series and this video, please take a split second to hit that like button, as it will really help the channel to grow and will help me make more content for you guys in the future. So, getting on with it. As always, I've got my info from battlefieldtracker.com and simthic.com, both of which I've left links to in the description. And as there are lots of repeat appearances in these builds, we're going to get those ones out of the way first. So in reverse order, we've got the melee, which is the combat knife. It's got a large one-hit kill range, it's in the fastest archetype for the melee weapon, and most importantly is that it's the first and default melee available, which probably accounts for it being the most popular because people can't be bothered to change it. Next, the grenade, which is the frag grenade. It's got a large explosion radius, can be bounced off objects easily, and has high damage. It's a one-hit kill if someone's caught in the middle of the blast. It's powerful and versatile and can often pick you up some multi-kills too. And now onto the secondary, which is the ever-popular M1911. As I've said before in my previous builds, it's very versatile in that it doesn't require a specific way to use it effectively. It's got a middle-of-the-range fire rate, predictable recoil, 8 bullets in the mag, and has a surprising amount of damage per shot. After using this gun for a while for these builds, it's easy to see why it's a favourite amongst the Battlefield community, as it's versatile in terms of its effective range. Gadget number 1 is the spotting flare, and I find this an obvious choice for the Scout, as information in an FPS is the key to success. That was an accidental rhyme, and it totally sounded like some sort of mantra. Just let's smooth over it. So you get 2 flares from spawn, and it lights up an area of the map, revealing the position of enemies as though they've been spotted. Remember though that this only applies to how they appear on your minimap. You will still need to spot them manually by sight for the red icon to appear above their head. As long as they stay within the area of effectiveness of your flare, you'll be able to see which way they're moving and if they have squad mates spawning on them. The spotting flare is particularly useful in supporting your teammates if they are, for instance, in a plane, a tank, or if when you're playing rush using the artillery barrage. This piece of equipment is invaluable if you're attacking or defending an area. It removes the possibility of being snuck up on, and if they are fired correctly, they can stop your team from being taken out by a surprise flank attack. It's important to remember that the flare is also an incendiary device. You can use it much like the incendiary grenade to block pathways, doorways and choke points, forcing the other team to take damage if they choose to run over it or forcing them around. Not only that, they also have to lay down to stop the burning effect, making them far more vulnerable to your gunfire, and if you still can't quite finish someone in a gunfight, you can use it as a direct weapon too. Lastly, the flare can reveal AT mines, dynamite, limpet charges and tripwires that have been placed not only on your minimap but from your own point of view too, which brings us on to gadget number 2, the Incendiary Tripwire. This variant is probably more popular than the gas and HE variants for a couple of reasons. If you're nearby when it trips, you don't have to put a gas mask on, stopping you from aiming down the sight, and unlike the high explosive, you don't have to worry about destroying your cover or your vantage point. The incendiary variant takes about 6 seconds of continued exposure to get the kill, but this is not why it's useful. Like the flare, it blocks the path or doorway it's been placed in, and it forces your opponent to go prone to stop the continued damage, which is a brilliant bonus as a sniper, as your target is no longer moving quickly, and more often than not they are down to a one-hit kill with your primary from any range. Now onto the primary, which, as you've seen from these clips, is the Martini-Henry Infantry. The Martini has a really similar one-hit kill range to the SMLE, but the sweet spot is much smaller. It has a fire rate of 24, making it the slowest of all the sniper rifles. It's only got 1 round before it needs to reload, and the slowest bullet velocity of all the snipers. So why is this weapon sitting just above the SMLE marksman at 15% for kills and time using the weapon? Well, I believe this is for a couple of reasons. Number 1 is the feel of the gun. I think I speak for most of you out there when I say that this is probably the most satisfying weapon to use in the game. Only having 1 round before you reload adds a level of difficulty, meaning you've got to land your shot. Not having a scope and the one-shot sweet spot being at mid-range means you've got to stay in the action for this gun to work at its best, and the amazing sound it makes when it fires all add to the overall experience, making it really exciting. There is something, however, that will play a much larger part in people's decisions as to why to use it, and unfortunately this only applies to console players, and that is auto aim and auto rotation. As you can see in these clips, most of my kills are from snap or pop shooting, This is where I hit the aim down sight button very quickly, followed by the fire button, relying on the auto aim and rotation to get the barrel of my gun pointing at centre mass. And while it's really important to have auto aim in an FPS on console, as it's much harder to aim effectively using sticks rather than a mouse, it's very understandable why people would get annoyed at the abuse of this function. And personally, I find that when you're using the Martini, the auto aim effects are a little strong. But while they are still in the game, there's no reason why you shouldn't take advantage of it. The top tip I can give you for this technique is to have your target in as straight a line as possible in front of you before you snap shoot. Line up the enemy as close to the centre of your crosshair as you can and wait to feel the slight pull on your weapon before you pop shoot. This gives you a much higher chance of the auto rotation in particular to snap to the target before you pull the trigger. This technique obviously reduces the gun skill required for the Martini quite significantly, and as we've seen in my previous most used builds, the more versatile and easier to use the weapons are, more often than not they are the most popular. It does take a little getting used to when you're using the Martini-Henry, but once you can identify the one-hit kill range by sight, this weapon is very hard to beat. If you're playing on PC using an infantry variant on your sniper rifle, then I would choose the SMLE, as it's very similar to the Martini, but with a far larger magazine, larger sweet spot, and almost double the fire rate. So that was my most used scout build. What are your thoughts on the Martini-Henry as the top choice? And have you got any sniper tips and tricks that I missed out on? Let me know in the comments below. So if you had a good time, be sure to hit that like button. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button too. Feel free to share this video wherever you like. And until next time, that's Dame over. Peace.